Hi, everybody. This is Tony Stevens, the Director of Development for the American Council of the Blind. Today is October 15th, 2021, and we're very excited to be with you today because it's International White Cane Safety Day. This is a day where countries around the world and organizations around the world are focused in on raising awareness around concerns for blindness, public awareness, safety in that regard. But we're very excited here at the American Council of the Blind in Washington, D.C. To be bringing in some guests today as well, and to be queuing up what's going to be an exciting day of celebration for White Cane Day that we'll tell those folks that are listening in live over our Facebook and YouTube channels to tune into today from 2 to 6 p.m. Eastern. It's 2 to 8 p.m. Eastern on ACB Media 4. So we'll explain some of that, what's coming up, a little tease there. But let's go ahead and get started today with our White Cane celebration for a very special guest who has brought forward an exciting challenge to our community over the past couple of months. And we're going to be learning a little bit about what's going on in her home state and with her in her leadership role with the North Dakota Council or Association of the Blind. And I'm very happy to welcome Zelda Gebhardt. Hello, Zelda.
Hi, Tony. It's my pleasure to be with you today.
And we're also going to be hearing in a little while, she unfortunately couldn't make it today. She had to cancel or had to reschedule. We got a video interview with Connie Sins, your neighbor to the south, who's president of the South Dakota Association of the Blind. And Connie will also be talking to us about us today. We're excited to have both the Dakotas here for the American Council of the Blind sort of recognition of White Cane Safety Day, because we're going to be talking a little bit about today some of the things that take place in particularly rural parts of the country. And I know these are concerns that Zelda, you and your membership have had to deal with and recognize with. We'll talk a little bit about White Cane Safety Day in a few minutes about its history and all things encompassing that. And why is it important that we make ourselves known and aware, not just for public awareness, but also for our own health and well-being, about being independent and being mobile in our community. So, but let's start, I guess, first, what's going on with North Dakota and how are you all celebrating today?
Well, Tony, we're actually doing events kind of all week. We have three main events, and the October 15th is very hard for me to ignore because it's also my husband's birthday.
So, happy birthday, yeah.
That's a special day in this household. But as far as the North Dakota Association of the Blind, every year we do a walk for vision, and that is headed up by our development director, Alan Peterson, and we recognize White Cane Safety Day, and on that day also do a walk. So it's a public awareness fundraising event for us. Creates a lot of attention around the white cane. There's still a lot of people out there in the general public that don't really understand what it stands for and what their responsibilities around it are. In addition to that, this year we're starting 2 other events. And one is, you've heard of dining in the dark. Well, we're going to do sports in the dark. And it's a collaborative effort between a Lions Club in Minot and NDAB. And it's going to be a family event with music and sports, and people are going to try it. They're just going to be doing it blindfolded and see that those of us with vision loss like to have fun too, and it should be a lot of fun. That's going to be taking place tomorrow. On the 10th, there was Blind Olympics, and I wasn't in attendance at Grand Forks when they did that. It was held on the campus of our North Dakota Vision Services School for the Blind, and there were, I would imagine, several of the Olympic type activities, running, jumping, all of that, and much fun was had there too. So we also have proclamations from our governor, Governor Doug Burgum, and from several of our major cities, the mayors of the city. So we're trying to get the word out.
And that's exciting, though. And I know you and Alan and everybody else there do such a wonderful job for a state affiliate to really raise the public awareness on the fact that people who are blind and visually impaired, we are in the community. Some of the challenges with COVID and the coronavirus is that everyone was sort of shut in, as it were. For many of people in our community, you know very well that oftentimes, virus or no virus, pandemic or no pandemic, there is that experience of still being shut in. How is it coming out? And this might be a good thing, for your walk as well. I mean, I don't know if you all were able to have the walk in 2020, but how is it for your communities that you represent as, now immediate past president? Congrats on 5 wonderful years as president for the affiliate. But just coming out of the pandemic now, what has it been like for you all in getting back into the community, people getting out and being seen again as people who are blind? Because that's essentially what this day is really about.
Right. Yes, you're right. In 2020, we did not have a walk, and there were many things that we did not have, but there were many things that we did do too. We also had a collaborative effort with North Dakota Vision Services, and 3 times a week we had Zoom calls, very similar to the ACB community events. We have one on Tuesday afternoon called Tech Talk Tuesday, one on Wednesday morning. It's coffee chat on We Care Wednesday in the morning, and then on Thursday we have just a basic independent living skills type, just to get tips and tricks out there for people to learn how to live well with vision loss.
Wonderful. The thing that I am loving to hear about people doing, and it came so much to fruition during the pandemic, was finding ways to still engage and be there as a community support. Have you been finding an increase or more people reaching out to your affiliate during the pandemic, or reaching out to you all just in those terms of support? Because I imagine with North Dakota, there's a lot of people who, with public transit, there's not too many large cities.
Right.
Transportation is an issue sometimes for people to get together. How has the community been feeling?
I actually feel less shut in now than I did before. I live in the country. I live 7 miles from a very small town of 350 people and 29 miles from a larger town. And we don't have Lyft or Uber or a taxi service. I'm totally dependent on my husband and family and friends to get from here to there. And so I've learned to be very content where I'm at. So in a lot of respects, the uptake on the Zoom sessions that have been available here in our state and nationally has really opened things up and made it so that I could participate in a much bigger way. And I'm not alone in that. It just has now. Things have opened up a bit here. There are some support groups. In North Dakota, we don't have chapters, so to speak. We have support groups which function very much like a chapter, only a little less organized, no elected officials or anything. And they have started meeting again. I know the one in Bismarck, the one in Fargo. So there's 2 in Fargo that are meeting. Some people are a little hesitant. It's a little scary getting out there again, and we have had an uptake in cases, just like everywhere else. But it has definitely changed the way we do things. But it has also given us an opportunity to get to know others better on a more deeper level. For those of us who don't have a support group in our community, we have been that statewide support group for one another.
Well, there's that old adage, strength in our numbers, right? And I know for
Right.
communities, particularly for people that are feeling more isolated, to know that, when we come together in a community, whatever way, and this virtual community has been so strong with that. We hear your stories across the country, which has been so wonderful to hear sort of the success, and to hear you say that, we're going to come out of this stronger. It's important for us to get out into the community as we look into really what White Cane Day it was about. It's its 56th year. It was founded in 1964, the same year that the Civil Rights Act was passed, but really work to help raise awareness on the importance of recognizing people who are blind and visually impaired in their communities, We're going to be hearing from Connie Sims in a few minutes, who's going to share, her own personal experiences with the challenges that come at the safety side of white cane. But we can't, in a sense, let our blindness and vision impairment keep us relegated to our couches, right? And our sofas
Right.
and our living rooms. We have to get up and get moving. I love, we at the American Council of the Blind have started this Get Up and Get Moving campaign. We're really just trying to spotlight and highlight and celebrate people that are getting out and being fit, because there's so many other issues in the blindness world that we have to wrestle with. The comorbidities are unfortunately very prevalent in our community. If it's diabetes, heart disease, other conditions from living a sedentary lifestyle, we need to get up and we need to get moving. We need to get out into the community. And it's important on White Cane Safety Day that people know that we are out there for our own safety, that we don't have to live in fear, And I think in some sense, hearing the work that you're doing has been fantastic, and just the public awareness of letting people know we're out there, and the white cane is important, even for low vision community. I know you use an identification cane. What does that symbol mean to you? It's important that we, that we are identifiable for obvious reasons, but you do carry an identification cane around, right, when you travel?
Oh, I absolutely do. I wouldn't fly without one, and it just explains so much, and to those around me, why I have to get up close to a sign, why I'm almost in the men's bathroom, before I can read the sign that it's not the right place for me to go, and those type of things, because they can't tell by looking at me that I can't see. When they see the white cane, then there is some recognition, and they do understand why I'm attempting to board early on a flight, because I might have trouble finding my seat and I don't want to hold up the people behind me. Those type of things. It very much is definitely a help to me when I travel. On a day-to-day basis, if I'm in familiar surroundings, I don't use a cane. I live, as I said, in the country. We have a gravel road that goes by my house, and it leads to a highway that is paved, a very well-traveled highway that goes from Canada clear to Mexico.
Wow.
Highway 281, and so it's a very well-traveled road. My walking companion is our golden retriever, Buck. He's just a family pet and friend, and he faithfully goes walking with me. It was after the convention, as the convention was wrapping up, and I was on that cloud nine of hearing the speakers and the inspiration that happens, that comes along with our conference and convention, and then the unveiling of the Get Up and Get Moving campaign, and coupled those two things with the fact that the Olympics were starting, and we got to witness past and current Olympians talking about their goals. It got me to thinking about setting a goal of my own. Now, I'm a wife, a mother, a grandmother, and I have not often set personal goals. My life has kind of rotated around what those around me needed, whether it was for my family or for my church or for the organizations I belong to. I often didn't set personal goals, and I decided it's time for me to set a personal goal. And I knew I wasn't going to be becoming an Olympian, but what is it I could do? So I got to thinking that with the convention being in Omaha next year, it could possibly be that I could walk to Omaha. And from my house to Omaha, Siri tells me it's 453 miles. And I thought, this is a doable thing. I'm going to set that goal. And so for several weeks, I didn't tell anybody about it. I thought, is this really doable? Am I really going to, be able to complete it? And after a couple of weeks, I decided I'm going to announce this to the world, because some wise man told me one time, if you dream about something, you have a small percentage of probability that you will achieve it. If you write it down, you have a bigger probability that you will achieve it. But if you announce it and share it with others, that goes way up. And so
you get the hot seat now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I went out on the hot seat and announced it. And I'm happy to say that I'm 83 days in, and I have walked. I'm going to look here. 163 miles. So that averages 1.9 miles a day. Now, when I was setting this goal, I thought, well, I didn't factor in those days that I just wouldn't be able to go, be it illness or schedule or whatever.
Or snow in February in North Dakota.
Yes, that I did factor in, because I know it will get to the place where it won't be nice to walk outside here in North Dakota. And I am planning to ride my stationary bike during that time. Okay. But even up until now, I've had a few days that it just wasn't possible for me to do it. And but I didn't factor that in. So actually this goal setting is new to me. And I realized that when we're setting goals, we have to be somewhat flexible too. And so I've walked 1.9 miles a day, which I only have to walk 1.3. So some days I've been walking 2 miles, some days I've been walking 3 to kind of tuck some away for later on. And so I've only have like 290 something miles left to go.
You're going to get there way ahead of us. Keep the seat warm for us when you get there.
Right, but our weather is starting to forebode of winter coming. True. It was 40 degrees this morning with a high of 51, I believe. So winter is coming, and but
your challenge has stirred so many people up on our leadership lists and our Facebook lists, community, and folks wanting to join you in that challenge, which has been so wonderful. And as we're on a day when we're talking about the importance of being seen, hopefully folks can get up and take some steps out in the community today, however they feel safe doing so. If not on their community, on Facebook, or show us some movement, everybody out there, in whatever day. If you're watching this after White Cane Day, hashtag, ACB Get Up and Get Moving, or let us know how many steps you're taking, because you really have been an inspiration, Zelda. It's been so wonderful to hear other people, even people as far as Sacramento and Los Angeles are looking to their steps. So
I didn't literally challenge them to do the same goal setting that I was doing. I just wanted them to set their own goal, whatever that
you inspired them, which was great. It wasn't a challenge. You inspired people by coming up with this idea. So well done.
I thought if they had a career goal or whatever it was, I just encouraged them to do that. I didn't realize that people would actually decide to walk to Omaha also. But I am pleased that it has inspired somebody, and it has been good for me. Not only am I fulfilling my goal, and I intend to, but it has taught me some things. There's the physical things of being a stress reliever. There's some mornings when I go out for that walk, I just need to blow off a little steam. So it can be a mood changer. But it also has helped me when I unplug from the computer, from my phone, get away from it all. It's kind of like when a GPS says, recalculating or whatever. It's my opportunity to recalculate, and it gets me away from that technology, and I somehow think it kind of plugs me into getting more creative, and I'm be able to do some better problem solving. That seems kind of funny that a little walk could help you in that fashion, but I'm finding that it has that benefit for me also.
It's building healthy habits, and you're inspiring people, which has been wonderful. We're gonna switch gears in just a moment and hear from Connie Sins, who's a new member to the American Council of the Blind Board of Directors. She was elected this summer at our virtual convention, but also Connie's on the Get Up and Get Moving campaign, and Connie's going to share a little bit more about why is it important why we should overcome our fears, work to ourselves to be safe outside as we move around as people who are blind and visually impaired. But also, too, it's important to be seen, but it's also important for our own health, mental health, well-being, all the above. And so we're going to be jumping to Connie in a second. Before we do so, I want to thank, since we'll be shifting a little bit of the conversation toward our Get Up and Get Moving campaign, to thank our health heroes. We're so excited today to announce a new member to our health heroes for the Get Up and Get Moving campaign. Thank you to Walmart. Walmart has been working with us, and we announced earlier today, and they should be announcing as well, a collaboration to really get the word out on the importance of being up and being mobile and getting out, and how that can really impact our lives, make us better people. It not only helps ourselves by living a healthier life, it lets people out in the community see us and know we're there. Because if we're not out in the community, they're not going to know about us. We're going to be part of that silent sort of marginalized group. So to that end, I wanted to thank you, Zelda, so much for coming on and sharing with us about your challenge and about everything you all have been doing around White Cane Safety Day in North Dakota. Keep up the wonderful, fantastic work. And just keep us posted on your steps. Let us know when you get there ahead of us to Omaha. We'll look forward to meeting you there in person next year, and maybe even doing the ACB walk. There's some exciting walk events we got in Omaha around the Get Up and Get Moving campaign, but as well as for our annual memorial walk. And thanks to Walmart. Thanks as well to our other health heroes, American Printing House for the blind and visually impaired, as well as Vanda Pharmaceuticals. And Zelda, thank you again. We really appreciate you coming on today for our YouTube Live and Facebook Live and chatting with us about the importance of White Cane Safety Day, and really just about us not being afraid to challenge ourselves to move.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tony.
All right, we're going to throw it to Kelly that's going to air the video. We had a chance to have a recording yesterday with Connie Sims, who unfortunately can't be here today, but she was able to reschedule at least a chance to talk with her and find out. Join us after this at 2 o'clock on ACB Media 4 as we start our 6-hour dance party, where you can show off your moves on your own social media, maybe get some steps in for Omaha as well for everybody. And that's on ACB Media 4. If you go to acbmedia.org or ask Alexa-enabled device to play ACB Media. So find in terms of what kind of outreach or things that can be done in small towns, because there's not going to have audible pedestrian signals probably in a town where there's maybe only one person who's blind or visually impaired in that town. It might be harder to advocate for that. What are some things that you all do in the smaller towns in terms of public awareness to let people know that these are people in our community, and we need to be cognizant if you see someone with a white cane on the side, literally, feeling their way along the shoulder?
Which is really nice about the Midwest. And, I've always lived in the Midwest. So with the small towns, I think back about the town I grew up in, and there's like 1,300 now. When I grew up, there was maybe 900, 1,100 people. But there is a gentleman that is older, that is visually impaired, walks with a cane. There was myself, and there was another gentleman a year older than me. But a lot of people knew in town. At that time, we had, I think, one stop sign in town, and there's 2 major highways that go through that town. And then we had eventually a couple stop signs, but people would kind of watch out for us. I had, a little bit better vision then. The one gentleman that was really close in age didn't, but they try to watch out. They don't have, even painted crosswalks very often. So it's really a matter of going to the town and to people and just visiting. And even here in Sioux Falls, I'm known for, I'm on the pedestrian advisory committee, and I'm known for my big mouth, I guess I would say. But, we don't even have auto pedestrian signals here very often. I mean, there's a few of them, but not very many. And I'm always arguing with them about getting more or getting them more accessible. And it's about training. A lot of it has to do with training. And I will have to say, being part of ACB and them knowing that I'm part of the board and part of the transportation committee, they have actually started listening more to me. So I think it's a lot of education. I think that it starts on the local level. You find who you can talk to, who you can trust in the city. If it's a small city, if it's like the city planner, because a small city doesn't going to have engineers and the planners and stuff. You're going to have like the city council or the city commission, maybe have one or two people and a mayor. So you go and talk to the mayor, and you get to be friends with them, and you visit with them, and you educate them, and usually they're going to listen. And especially in the Midwest, if you're willing to work with them and educate them, you almost have a better chance. But they don't. The bad thing is then they don't have the funding. They don't have the funding to fix the sidewalks, so they don't have the funding to put the APSs or all the stop signs in that they need to do. That's the other hard thing, is that the funding is so different in a small and rural area.
It's a give and a take, I guess, because I mean, Swatha, we had success in New York City with the accessible pedestrian signals that are, not just the sound, but they vibrate and make, other, light flash and things like that are for people with multiple sensory disabilities. We've had success there, right?
Yeah,
and you think
yeah.
a city like New York, where there's so many people and you get more numbers.
Chicago too.
Or Chicago, where you grew up, yeah. But
I mentioned those, Tony, and it's interesting you mentioned those, because I mentioned those to the city of Sioux Falls in one of my meetings, and they looked at me like, all the engineers like, what are you talking about? We've never heard of those before.
Yeah. but at the same time, that's kind of the what you have to give up. But what you get is real interesting in the small towns, just that sense of community. Mm-hmm. And I think that's an important message for White Cane Day, that it's not just about knowing what a white cane is, but it's knowing the people in your community, and we are in your community, and to give that support, not just for safety, but going back to your husband when you're talking about, because the deafblind community particularly, that's even greater heightened sensory deprivation, and that has to be, I imagine, even more of a, how do you fuel that confidence for someone in our deafblind community? Like, I've been to the National Helen Keller National Center, where they do a lot of the training for the deafblind. It's so impressive. I think of the fears I had, and then try to think how much I would have to amplify that for someone like what your husband's going through.
Yeah.
When you take that first step to cross the street, right? When you step into the crosswalk, just a sense of safety, and to know that there's a community that supports you, that can help build the confidence, right?
It is, and that's, and everyone says that he's really a good mobility person. But we were in an accident a few years ago. And he was using his white cane, and I was, guiding him. And he now has, and I have some apprehension, but he has really a lot of apprehension now that we cross the street, especially when he hears cars waiting to turn, because a car turned on top of us, or turned on us and actually sat on top of me. I'm like very lucky to be alive today. It came just seconds of beheading me. But the driver actually admitted that he saw us on the sidewalk. We had the right of way to go, and he admitted to the police, like, well, yeah, I saw them, but I thought I had time to go, so I just took off.
Yeah.
So now my husband, it's even a little bit harder for him to feel confident.
Yeah, the PTS.
Travel, because of that fear that you hear that car and is like, okay, is it, he's waiting, but are they really going to wait for me to cross or not cross?
Yeah.
So yeah.
When I was hit last time, it was by a truck that was turning, and just he was too busy watching the van and wasn't watching to realize someone else was crossing that had the right of way, like you said. And there is that sense of and I imagine if you wrestled with this, and this is something we need to think of as a community that's out there, and this talks about we talk about what confidence we can build and to get up and get moving, the challenges we face, but the mental stress and anxiety we often don't think about. And like I heard you kind of mention quietly, PTSD.
Yeah.
I definitely, every time I cross this one intersection, my heart, I can feel it start racing. And I don't know if your husband has similar feelings, or you have those similar feelings sometimes, but there is a prolonged mental stress that can come with independence.
Yes.
And I don't think people realize how much effort we take to get out into the community, and the mental stress that can bring with it sometimes.
No, and I think you're right. I think Swatha's right, because I mean, I couldn't even lay on the floor. I mean, for a short time,
Yeah.
after the accident and stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's times that I hesitate. I mean, it doesn't have to be the same intersection. It can be just as an intersection. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm safe to cross. And then I'm like, do I or don't I? Because then there's a car that starts to roll forward or something. And it's like, I get so hesitant, and like I said, I have fairly good sight to do it. But at the same time, you want to get out and get going, get up and get moving. I love to walk. Um, I've always been an exercise person. I've always been a health care person, working in healthcare before the accident. Um, Getting up and get going and moving is one of the best things. And I've always said that for the people with, with using a white cane is so important. And it's just any little walk. I mean, I have a member who lives on a very busy street, not far from me, but she's proud of herself when she can walk the 4 blocks up to one of the other streets and then back, which I think is awesome because she lives on a really hard, busy street. And if she can do that a couple times a day or back and forth, I think it's awesome because it's at least getting up and moving, and she feels better confidently. She feels mentally that she's done something and it's helpful for her. So I think any type of awareness, so that way she is being seen on busy streets. So she uses a cane. She's totally blind. It's all she's ever done. So people at least see her out walking.
It is that to force ourselves out of isolation sometimes. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's definitely a necessary thing to do, which is why it's, White Cane Day is important in a lot of ways. And I'm glad you brought up just the need to get moving, because, we mentioned earlier about the get up and get moving sort of celebration that's taking place today for awareness of being out in the community and being out there with the Get Up and Get Moving dance party on White Cane Day, October 15th today. But it is in a lot of ways, the something that we need to do. It's too easy for people. And I think a lot of people have let their fears force them into that isolation, and they stay on their couches. We talk about how there's, roughly 60 to 70% of people are non-employed in our blindness community.
Yep.
And I'd be curious to know both of your thoughts, Swatha, you as well. Part of it is, opportunity in the workplace and jobs that are out there and transportation. But a large part of it too is just people don't have the mental will to get up and get moving. But there's huge ramifications if we don't live a physical, active life. We're forcing ourselves into another area that's dangerous as well.
Yeah, exactly. The high rate of like diabetes and health complications because of that, and health complications. Yeah, it's a lot of like the anxiety and the sort of fear that it's gonna, like, if you get hit once, you're not gonna cross that road again. You might cross a different road. Like there's a fear of like just being out there and not being seen, and not being like, or just not being understood as a blind person what your needs are. And so there's that fear, there's also the anxiety that comes with that. So
and not to say we need to go out there and be reckless and dangerous with our lives.
Yeah, exactly.
But we can't let our fears, I guess, relegate us to the couch for the rest of our lives.
Yes, absolutely.
No, and I totally agree. I mean, and if you aren't healthy, if you aren't getting up and off the couch and moving, then your health issues are going to increase. I mean, diabetes, your heart, your cholesterol, your lungs, everything is going to increase. I mean, even chances of blood clots, vascular disease. So, and your bodies weren't made to be sedentary. And I think that's what we all need to just remind ourselves. I mean, it's hard. And I think there's a lot of people who don't work, who would love to work, but they can't find the jobs, or can't find the qualified jobs that they want. Or some of them are just scared to. I think some are scared to get out and about, like Swatha, and said, and which is understandable. But again, that's our fear, that's our mentality. But I think if we encourage, and I think that's the big thing with ACB, is the Get Up and Get Moving, Facebook page, all the communication. It was, we did the Get Up and Get Moving Facebook page, and I will admit that was my husband's idea. We were going to do some training one day. I was going to help train some of the members on Facebook, and I was talking to my husband about what should we train, and what am I going to do? And he's the one who came up with that idea and he's not on Facebook. I am, and he's like, but that would be a good start. That would be a good community, and I'm like, it is, and I think it's a great thing because people share their stories, and their ideas, and then you talk about getting up, and it's just getting up and walking around the house, and we got Zelda did the challenge from North Dakota, and I was joking with Jennifer Flatt about it's only 2.5 hours to Omaha from Sioux Falls, so how many times can I walk around Omaha?
Yeah,
I mean, it's not, it's kind of fun just to challenge, and even our local groups, I think it's the community, it's the support that we can talk to each other and encourage each other. And it doesn't always have to be a lot at a time. It's just a matter of let's get up and move, just move a little bit, walk around your house, walk up and down your steps, talking about dance party. Let's get outside and dance in the front yard, backyard or whatever, on your patio. But let people see us out and about. And that's the big thing, is that we just need to get out in the community, if it's for work or if it's for social. I have some members who love to go to concerts. So, get out and go to concerts. If that's what you love to do, go there, go to the parks, wherever you want to go, but just get out and be seen. It doesn't, we all have our talents and we all have our hobbies, but we just have to get out and move. And the more that we get out, then the communities, the people are going to see what we can do and what we can't do, and the barriers, and that will help people understand what they can do to help us or improve things.
my wife, who's an optometrist, had a CE the other week, and macular degeneration is one of the more common causes of blindness for older age adults, for seniors and elderly. And there's a type of AMD called wet AMD. And the study showed that if you walk 1 block a day, just 1 block, which isn't that much, you don't even need to cross the street for a lot of people. Just walk around the block, if you have sidewalks. It makes a huge, huge reduction in the onset of that vision loss from the macular degeneration if you have wet AMD, a type of wet AMD. And that's just 1 block a day. We know with diabetes, they say if you can walk enough to keep your A1Cs under, walking is one of the best things you can do to help manage your diabetes, just getting out and walking.
Yeah.
95% of diabetic retinopathy can be, quelled and stopped if people are just out there moving and keeping their A1Cs under control for people that have diabetes. So, Connie, thank you so much for really bringing that message to the importance of just moving and the value of it, and really for sharing your own story and overcoming those fears yourself for wanting to get out and just be independent.
Exactly.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. And I'm glad that you gave me the opportunity, because I think personal stories are the most important for people to hear. When I go out and advocate for whatever reason, I think people understand personal stories more than anything. And I appreciate that.
All right, I think we might be back. Checking to see if I'm getting a text here saying if we're back or not. All right, let's see. Am I hearing Zelda there?
I hear you, Tony.
Yeah, I think we're back live again. So wonderful. Thanks to Connie for sharing that, and for opportunity to talk a little bit about the Get Up and Get Moving campaign and ways people can get involved. And again, Zelda, thank you so much for taking time to join us. I meant to say thanks to Swatha as well. If folks want to hear the whole interview, that was part of the ACB Advocacy Update podcast as well, which dropped yesterday. when we had a chance to talk with Connie, but also want to say thanks to Swatha Nandakumar, who is our advocacy and policy specialist, advocacy and outreach specialist for ACB. And Swatha does a great job and is working a lot of these issues around pedestrian safety and things like that. So again, special thanks to our sponsors, to our health heroes, if it's Walmart, if it's Vanda, if it's American Printing House, and you happen to run into anybody from those organizations, tell them thanks for being a health hero and helping support us as we get public awareness and information out there about the value of getting out and stepping out into our communities. Swatha, thanks again. I already said Swatha. Kelly, I meant to say Kelly, thanks for helping run this stream. Kelly Gask is always helping run the back end of things for our live streams. And, you know, Zelda, I got a lot of steps to catch up to you, but I'm going to do it. I've got a lot of miles to Omaha, but I was there this past weekend for our ACB board meeting. Very excited to get out to that part of the country for summertime. Wonderful, just loving, kind people out there. Great event location for those that are going to be joining us in person. Let us keep track of how you're doing on your own walk to Omaha if you're going to do that challenge as well and join Zelda. Again, Zelda, I know you said it wasn't your intent to make other people, to challenge other people, but you definitely have inspired today. So thanks again, and thanks for all you're doing in North Dakota.
Have a good day, Tony.
Likewise. And everybody out there, thanks for joining us on YouTube Live. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed to our channel already. Follow us on Facebook and like us, and email community@acb.org if you want to find out how you can get involved in our community events and other ways to stay engaged. Be well, everybody. Happy International White Cane Safety Day from Washington, D.C. We are out. Thanks again.